video demonstration, I'm going to show you how to make quite a simple but really pretty Christmas card using the new JND391 Mistletoe Wreath die set. And with this die set, you can make really cards for all year round. This little sort of leafy sort of wreath in the middle could have beautiful flowers on for spring or summer, leaves on for autumn. There's a lot of scope in this set. So I'm going to take you through the set, and in here you're going to get an outside die which is quite sort of almost Art Deco, but it's actually little sections of mistletoe all sort of grouped together with swirls. And you've got an inside cutting line, then an outside line for your wreath, an inside line for your wreath allowing you to cut down, a circle in the centre, and a sprig of mistletoe. You also get 4 separate sprigs of mistletoe with it, and 2 little dies which will cut you the berries to go on there should you want to do them in card. I tend to do them in pearl dimension, but again, they're there if you want to, if you're purely a die cutter and you don't want to use mediums. So to do this, I'm going to start with a piece of card that's been cut to 5.5 by 5.5, and this has been cut used into coconut white essential card from Craft Artist. And we're going to take the outside die, which doesn't have an outside cutting edge, and we'll want the inside die for this to cut an aperture in. So we simply take a long piece of the Craft Artist low tack tape, pick up your die, position it to give you an even thing all the way around, and then we simply tape that down and cut it down. And as this is a detailed die across 4 sides, you will need to go that way through your machine and rotate it and go that way as well to make sure that everything is cut. This is a detailed die, so it requires a little bit more work than normal. But once you've done that, you'll get this beautiful frame here. And as you can see, it's very hard to see, but it's actually mistletoe linking it together. And it is quite hard to see that that is what's actually linking it, but it is what's doing it. But again, it could be used all year round, as it really doesn't have a Christmas look to it. So all I'm going to do is take that and I'm going to spray glue it onto a piece of ombre glitter card. So I'm using my Craft Mount by 3M. Light spritz of that. And I've got a piece of the ombre glitter card from Craft Artist here. And this actually goes from a sort of yellowy green colour into a blue. And I've chopped it down to a 5.5 inch square so that I can put that exactly on the back. And then we've got that beautiful turn of colour going from the lighter to the dark. We obviously want to take the centre out. So we take the centre die from the die set. We just drop that back in to the correct place and we tape that down and run it through. And I want to show you running this one through so you can see how we take that centre out. So I'm simply going to bring in my Kaleido here, pop that onto my plates and cut it. What this will do is cut that aperture in exactly the right place, but it also helps to meld the card on top of the glitter card, because glitter card, even the faux glitter card that we excel with Craft Artist, can sometimes miss it. So can you see here, all gone through, all cut out, so I just need to take that off, and then I'm just going to carefully push out the glitter card. I'm going to keep that square because that's going to be our centre. So you see now we have our frame. You may need to use a glue eraser to take any marks off from adhesive from your tape or from your plates. Always important to have a useful glue eraser. So nice and very, very simple. So all we're going to need to do now is we're going to start on making the centre panel or cutting that out. So again, you're going to take a piece of coconut white card and you're going to cut that to the same size. So you want that to be roughly 5.5 inches. So I'm just cutting a piece here to put behind. So we started originally with 5 3/4 inches. We've cut this one down to 5.5 just to make sure that we get the right, it doesn't pop out on the front. So we want to put some foam tape onto the back of here, and I'm using 2mm foam tape, and I want this quite deep. So the reason I'm showing you putting the foam tape on is I want to put a double layer on. So I go all the way around and I put a single layer of tape on nicely in the centre so we get a nice support. all the way around here. We then simply reveal the tape. So take off your protective strip from all 4 sides, just like this. And then we want to apply another layer of foam tape to give us a nice little bit of depth. So again, another piece there, grab a little bit more foam tape. And all we're doing is going around and putting another layer on top. And that will give us a 4mm depth, which is the which gives us just a right amount when we're changing in colours. So around, we'll put our 4th on, and then we'll simply reveal our tape. So again, take off the back of your tape, and you'll find it's a lot easier to affix the back onto this while it's upside down. That way we make sure nothing's showing through. So we'll just take that off. There we go. Take my piece and pop that on the back nice and neatly. So when we turn it over, we've got that lovely depth of frame. And you've got a choice here of whether you want to go light to dark, left to right, or top to bottom, etc., whichever way you want to go. So I'm going to go from light from the left to the right. So I want to take the square from the centre, and I want to rotate that so that on that I'm going dark to light. So we really see a difference on the back. And it's subtle things like this which make all the difference. So a little bit of the Craft Artist Super Tacky glue, as we don't want this raised. And we slide that in, and that's a lot easier, but it looks like you've used 2 pieces, and of course we haven't. We've just gone light to dark, dark to light. So now we want to make our wreath element for the centre. So I'm just going to take, and I'm going to use, it looks like a scrap of card. I'm actually using a card that I've already cut out with the snowflake outside line to make sure that I've got a detailed one, because what I want to do is use this for another project. You can, of course, just use a scrap. And what I'm going to do is use all 3 dies for the wreath. So I'm going to start by positioning them roughly in the centre. And I'm using the outside, the inside, and then the tiny little inside. And you just want to move that round until it's in the right place. And you're happy that all those dies are even. And the easiest way to do this is to place it down like this, rather than try and use a long piece of tape trick. We're then just going to take a long piece of tape and tape that down. And again, we will run that through our machine. So once again, I'm going to bring in my Kaleido. I'm just going to pop that on. I'm going to take my top plate, pop that on, and I'm going to run it through. And what I don't want to do is to run this through 2 or 3 times. So I'm just going through once simply because I want all those 3 cuts to stay in place. So you go on the back and check. And all I'm then going to do is just take my die out, save that, because that will work with another piece of card to create me another card. And then I'm gently going to ease out all 3 pieces together. So just make sure I pop all of them together. There we go. And you'll see here by doing that and sliding in, I can take the whole thing out. I'm then just going to take the middle section out. But by not running it through lots of times or using a shim, it means it's cut through, but it's not falling apart. And it gives you that beautiful sort of pattern traced inside there as well. So to attach this to my card, I'm going to take a piece of foam tape that I've cut down. So I've cut this down to half the width. So this is only a 5mm width. You could have sort of thinner tape, but to be honest, I find it a lot easier and more cost effective just to have one size. And by taking off the protective, I can run that round and it will turn the corners perfectly. And this will just secure all of those separate pieces into place. So we take that off, there we go. And again, I'm then going to bring in my background, and I'm using this sort of oval leaf as the top. And that gives me the perfect placement. See, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's even, gives us that beautiful circle, and we could leave it there. But obviously we want to add a little bit of more of a leaf on there, or a sprig. So this time, again, I'm going to bring my plates in and just a scrap of green card. And what I'm going to do is, all I want from this one is this finer wreath. So I'm going to pop that into the centre. I'm going to cut that on its own. So again, I'm going to run that through my machine, but this time I want to make sure this is cut. So I am going to go forwards and back, and I'm going to go forwards and back again. Make sure I've got a lot of cut. It's really worth just taking a little bit of time to make sure everything cuts properly first time. So we take that out, we'll pop that to one side. I'm then going to pop out my little fine wreath. And again, for this, I can just use a little bit of spray glue, or what I find a lot easier is to use the glue glaze by Craft Artist, because that allows me to just pop little bits of glue. This is a quick drying flat glue, dries clear so it won't make a mess on the front. Fantastic for delicate die cuts, and it means it's not completely glued down, so you get a little bit of movement. So then I'm going to take this and I'm going to rotate it. So instead of going there, I'm going to bring it back round so that the two little sprigs go over that bigger leaf. You can see there, just press that down, but not every leaf is stuck down, so you've got a little bit more movement in there. With this piece, it can show you how we can work together. So I can now offset that into the scrap piece that I had. Make sure I get it in the right place. There we go. So I can put that onto there, and this shows you how the dies will work, cutting down into them absolutely perfectly in a beautiful finish. So there is our wreath. All we need to do now is to put it onto a card and decorate it. So I've taken a 7x7 card blank. I've cut myself a piece of coconut white at 6x6, and then cut a piece of the dark green, which is our Christmas green essential card, in 6 1/8 by 6 1/8, and pop that onto a 7x7 card blank. And just a little bit again of the Craft Artist glue in the back, checking that it's a top fold for the weight, and we just place that on. You can see there how we've got that beautiful look. So to finish this off, I'm actually going to pop a sentiment on, and to do that I'm going to use the new JND391 ornamental words, and here you get a large Christmas merry and happy, and a small season's greetings, merry, happy Christmas and Noel. So I think we'll just use a Noel. So I've cut a little piece of white card, and I believe this is, let's check this, this is 2.5 by 3/4 of an inch. I'm just going to pop my Noel into the center there, take a little bit of tape and tape that down, and I will run that through my machine very simply. And obviously these fit through the smallest machines that you can imagine, so this will go through any die cutting machine I think that's ever been created. So I'm just going to cut that through off camera just very quickly. We pop that out and we get that beautiful Noel. I've taken a piece of the ombre glitter card, and I've taken a strip off from the waste piece of that. Again, I'm going to use a little bit of spray glue for this. So again, my 3M craft mount. And I'm going to go where it's a little bit darker. I'm going to pop it that way so that the colours interchange, because I've got dark to light. So this time for this, I want light to dark. So we'll just stick that on, and I'll trim that off, and we'll add a little bit of foam tape onto the back of there. And we could have that beautifully in the centre, or as I'm going to do it, off to one side. There we go. And now it's just a case of decorating it. So I've actually already cut here a couple of pieces of the mistletoe, that come with the set. And I've added a little bit of pearl dimension in white for the berries, because mistletoe berries traditionally are white. So a little bit of glue glaze onto the back of there. And I'm just going to pop that just like that. There, coming across. I'm going to take the next little piece. And I love the fact that you don't need to have separate dies for this. And just going to take that little twig off and we'll just put that on. So we've got a beautiful little spray of mistletoe. And then finally, to finish, I'm going to use some of the pearl dimension in white. And I'm just going to add a few little white berries on at the junctions of these little pairs of leaves. So just gently adding that on. And these will take about half an hour to be what I would call touch dry, and about 24 hours to be properly postage dry. And again, we can just add more of these if you want to. I'm just going to pop one in each corner. And there we have a beautiful, almost spring-like Christmas card. Again, you could make this for any time of year, just made using the JND391 Mistletoe Wreath and a sentiment from JND412 Ornamental Words. For more ideas, hints, tips and inspiration, why not visit the Crafting with John Next Door and Crafts 2 group on Facebook. Enjoy.